Hitting anybody? Oh, okay, good. So we have a kind of a nice agenda because so much good stuff has happened. So it's a really positive agenda, I would say. Basically, do we, Tina, I know you're recording, but we don't need to go through the formalities of the roll call and the adoption of the agenda, right?
No.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I did include that in the agenda that was sent to you, but we'll forego that today. And then I'll just drop the items that we really do need to talk about here in the chat if that's helpful for anybody. And then I did also send you all kind of a very minimally amended draft work plan that we will discuss a little bit further down. And I can talk to you about kind of those changes because I spoke with the individuals who have proposed them. So without further ado, does anybody have any announcements, anything pressing that they want to add, or I think we'll just get to it. Awesome. Okay. Lana, Poet Laureate Work Group updates. I'm just bursting at the seams with pride.
Great job.
Yeah, thanks for the enthusiasm from this group. You know, our work group has been in action and trying to move forward some recommendations to the City of Poet Laureateship, and we're one step closer this week. So, you know, we passed the first round for the budget committee, and nothing is official yet, of course, because it would still need full council approval. With that, you know, on Friday, you can watch the budget committee meeting too. There was, you know, information there, you know, this is new to me too, so there's always new information coming at us. And so I was in conversation with Gulgun on Friday morning. So hi, Gulgun, nice to see you on the call today. Thank you for joining. I thought you had some really great recommendations too for us moving forward, particularly things I shared with the group today was about working language, you know, making it sound a little bit more like it's opportunities for field instead of just a mentorship program, particularly for the Youth Poet Laureateship. You know, I guess where I can start is that we had a meeting today just to see what we can do for work through to the new year. I don't know what role MAC will have going forward, as the slideshow presentation at the budget committee showed that it would be landing in the new arts department. So that's in transition right now, as Gulgun had referenced to me too on the call. So we don't have a director yet, and it's not fully transitioned over. So there's a lot more unknowns than there are knowns. And what we're trying to do right now is just really focus on driving forward instead of holding back so that we can have some good recommendations. All of our work group members today came to the meeting with 2 researched cities about Youth Poet Laureateships, and it was probably our most exciting conversation yet. So I think that's a really, really nice positive testament to how much enthusiasm there is, both from MAC, but also from the broader community. You know, like we have arts partners and library partners, and you know, by partners, I mean people who are interested enough to volunteer their time on this work group. And I think it's going to be a very collaborative opportunity that could be a really big win for the city. So exciting new work. Friday is when things would become official, so no announcements or anything at this time. Honestly, it's been pretty much a roller coaster ride. You know, Gulgun, when we were talking Friday morning, we were like, well, we'll just have to wait and see. We'll chat again in the new year, you know, because it was that much of a question mark for me. I thought this was kind of something that had tried before, and really with some champions of the work, you know, people pushing it forward and keeping it in conversation. I think it has some legs. So we'll see on Friday. Cross your fingers. And I think that's the update right now. The other work goals that we have through the end of the new year is after the Youth Poet Laureateship, we're going to try to draft, you know, a document that is very much a malleable document that will change with more community input and certainly change within the hands of the new department, but just some ideas of what we found through research and conversation together to be some priorities that we would love to see reflected in this program. Does anybody have any questions? It's a lot of like new information all of a sudden this week, so feel free to shout out any questions too.
I think I just want to continue to say thank you for all of the heavy lifting and just, you know, the terrific strategic leadership that has happened within this work group, and also, Lana, staying in just good communication with city staff too, and you're making the time to speak with Goldman separate of the work group and those types of things. Those are all really important, I think, pieces to just maintain the connectivity of the commission to this initiative, with so many unknowns in the, moving forward. And I think that's really, again, I've said this, I'm probably sounding a little bit like a broken record, and I apologize, but this is demonstrating sort of like a best practice for how our subcommittees can continue to, prioritize us being at the table for whatever ways that can be best utilized for the development of the new department, and for the other, the other items on our work plan that some of which are kind of ambitious, really. So I think this is demonstrating a great roadmap about how the commission can work successfully with council, staff, and even leveraging community input, all of these pieces that have to go into this actually manifesting the right thing. So thank you for that leadership and for demonstrating that. And I'm going to continue to repeat that because I want, as we talk about our work draft, like I say, there's things in there that are going to require all of that. And so we're going to, all of us are going to have to step up in some ways to be making those connections with our elected and with our staff, and just really keep staying focused. So that's sort of my feedback about it. But anybody else?
Hey, this is Gülgün, and excited to see the initiative move forward with Council Vice President's very strategic action. I think one thing to note is that there were no new resources added for the program. So I think that was one reason why, in the past, when there have been new resources, it's been a bit of a struggle. And we're certainly seeing at the budget discussions that the budget of the new arts department is being picked away at by other priorities, by council members who have other priorities. So that's just something to bear in mind. But so I don't know if anyone watched it. I don't know, Lana, if you watched it. But the $300,000 that was allocated by the mayor to the new arts department, this was an earmark within that $300,000. That's just something you guys should be aware of. So it was a $20,000 earmark. I think the recommendation had been for 40, so 20,000 was identified.
And that's just for this upcoming fiscal year?
No, so the $300,000 for the new arts department is ongoing. So it was identified for 2 staff positions and some additional dollars for programming. I don't know exactly what programming it would be allocated towards, but I was assuming that it would go towards some level of transition, or it might go towards contractors. So whatever's left over from the 2 staff positions, and now we'll have to identify $20,000 within that $300,000 for the new poet laureate. So that's what that is. Does that answer your question, Joan?
No, I do understand that is how this came to be. There is nothing additional in addition in that $300,000. There are no other earmarks that have been proposed.
Well, the new arts department has a long list of program needs that was presented to council. So when that price tag was $3.5 million. When that was presented to the mayor chose to support $300,000. So I guess to answer your question yes, of course, there's a lot of need, and so the $300,000 is a step towards the $3.5 million. We asked for 20 staff. This gives us 2 staff. And we asked for programming dollars, about $1 million plus in programming dollars. And this will give us about $90,000 in programming dollars. but now, of course, 70,000 will be set aside for other programs and 20 for the Poet Laureate.
Yeah, I'm painfully aware of what the ask was versus what has been budgeted. My question was if there is any other earmarks on that 300 other than the Poet Laureate.
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Meaning the earmarked from the point of view of staff proposed and what mayor is funded. So the mayor has decided to fund 2 people plus programming. And it's up to staff to decide which programming at the end of the day. And as there's no staff for the department, we're waiting until that department gets staff hired.
Okay.
Does that make sense, John?
Yeah. I'm aware of all of this. I'm just getting kind of specific because I know that at the end, when these budget processes near the end, changes happen quickly, as we saw.
Yeah.
With
yeah.
Clarity. So, like, basically, since last Friday to this upcoming budget meeting, there is no other proposals happening or surprises in the works.
Well, there was a surprise on Friday, and I haven't. So there was supposed to be a meeting yesterday of the budget committee, and it was cancelled. And I need to look back, unless Mary knows what the results. There was a proposal made by a council member, Osman, to take $50,000 of the arts department funding and fund another initiative one time. And there were some council members that spoke against that notion, but they tabled it for a future discussion. And so I'm eager to find out what has happened, because so that's the only surprise that I saw.
So just to clarify, the next steps in the process are, so the Poet Laureate has not been approved yet, right? The full council votes on the budget on Friday. And I believe they tabled the discussion. I believe they're voting on Friday. I believe they tabled the discussion until Friday. There is also a public hearing tomorrow night, the last public hearing, and so they might have more discussion tomorrow night as well. I watched the conversation about the council member Osman's proposal, and it seemed like the vast majority of council members were not in favor of it, and that they clearly saw other sources from the American Rescue Program in particular for what he was looking for. So it seemed unlikely that will pass, extremely unlikely, but everything's fluid until the vote happens.
I think that's just why I'm kind of, I apologize, I don't mean to transition away from Poet Laureate specifically, but being that we are talking about budget and earmarks, I just wanted to find out if there had been any kind of moves like that. So, okay, that's good to know. Thank you for that update. Are there any other questions specific to Poet Laureate that anybody has? Okay, awesome. Are we cool to move on to our next item? Okay, Action Learning Team updates. And I think it was going to be a little bit of a repeat, somewhat, because we are so focused on getting this work plan to the finish line with our next meeting. But I would love if there's any updates to share from policy and advocacy. We did meet, and I don't know, I'm sorry I didn't select anybody to speak on this, but I might just pick on you again, Lana, because you're chair.
No problem. I think some of the additions to our work plan that you outlined for us, Joan, there too, are just, being in greater conversation about the race and equity initiatives that are across the city. So I shared some resources that I found there. Seems like all of the city staff are following a similar guideline. So it was just a amount of digging around and seeing what resources were already present on a city level, and then trying to draw them a little bit more into our commission. So that's another newly identified goal that we'll have for the work plan this year.
Great. We also are chipping away at the policy for the Mary, I'm sorry, my brain is blanking because I've had a really long day. What is the name of the collection that we're right now?
Affordable collection policy? Yeah.
Affordable collection. So it's interesting. We're going to see a lot more collaborative work, I think, happening, and I'm excited about that. But so the portable collection, kind of that lane of work lives within the Public Art Advisory Council, but the policy group is advising and putting thought leadership towards getting some of the stickier or thornier pieces a bit more figured out. And so that's fun to do for us nerds who like to talk about those things. So we really appreciate the opportunity to participate and add to the Public Art Advisory Council's sort of some of the things they had some questions and wanted some clarity on. So we'll continue to work on that. So I think that's the only other kind of nice sort of meteor update that we have for this ALT. Am I missing anything?
I guess the only other thing I would add, Joan, is just that, we're still going to continue our outreach with council members and relationship building. And I just want to say that really, for me, ties in directly with the Poet Laureate initiative. Like, I understand that, it can be a very tense situation when funds get reallocated. And I want to just renew our commitment to, having those hard conversations with council members going forward to try to make sure that more funds, are allocated there by increasing the visibility. And so, I hope the collaborative process could be like a real big win for everyone involved, the new department and our community as a whole. So I think that has a little bit more traction to be a conversation point for us too, when we're speaking with councils about just some of the needs for funding that are really still ever present. And so I want to keep that at the forefront of our mind for policy too.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think we're going to, as a ALT group, a think tank, we're going to be able to facilitate some framing to support our commissioners to get out there and make those one-on-ones with their council members and feel confident to have those conversations. I also, I like bumped the mute button with my my elbow. Okay, because I think I may be able to make the time, and I want to offer to accompany all of our commissioners in Q1 to meet with their council members and to accompany them if they would like me to. And that was kind of some of the capacity that I was looking for. And not everyone will want that, and that's just fine. And I want to respect, but we have a lot of new commissioners, and hopefully we're going to have more new commissioners in Q1, and just to give people the support that they may need to be able to facilitate some of those tougher conversations while not, taking over the conversations, but just, being in a leadership role in the commission and helping policy that way to just hold people accountable to get that time in. And some people might really appreciate that, and others might feel really confident to get in there and say, hey, I want to know like what your arts agenda is and how important, investing in the next budget year is going to come, the next budget process is going to come around sooner or later, and we just want to know where you stand with it and other things. So I think we're going to have a really great, we're going to be positioned really well to support our commissioners to be just really building on those relationships and meeting with their council members just a more regular situation. So thank you. And yes, we are, I believe that there's a through line for us all that there needs to be an increased investment in this department. So hope that makes sense. Okay, anything else from policy and advocacy? Okay, cool. Access. Mandy and Jeff, either of you want to give us any updates that you have right now?
It's so delayed. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think we didn't have a call because everyone was busy, but we're in the works of planning December, and we have an exciting guest coming and doing a presentation / spoken word. So that's exciting. And I don't think the invitations have went out to everybody yet. I think it just went out to us to review for parking. Okay.
I'm still a little confused if I'm supposed to be sending that or if we want it to be the calendar invite for the actual meeting.
Yeah, so that's what our question was today, actually. It was, okay. Does Crystal send it out, or can it go, because it's not the public, we don't want it to be part of the public invite. This is a separate invite after that we want to include.
So this is what I suggest. I suggest that Tina, are you there, Tina?
Yes, I'm here.
I suggest Tina, since she has the mailing list, send out an invite to everyone for the potluck after and it occurs after the commission meeting.
Yes, but we just want to be clear that we want to do the commission meeting in the building by ourselves on our devices. So it's not like we're gonna hang up and then drive there and do the. That's where
And so no one's made that clear to people.
I think it just needs to be made clear, right, Mandy?
Right.
Like,
just send an email that says all that, and then we can include the invite, I think, separately from.
I think it's okay for, yeah. So I think Crystal should send the email to everybody and Tina should send the invite. How about that?
Yep, that's perfect.
Tina, are you okay with that?
Yes, if they want to send me the invite, yes, that's fine. I'll send it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we just need to book it. What time is the potluck?
Right afterwards. So the meeting adjourns at, are we going to do it early? Are we going to bounce early so we can party?
I mean, I think I'll do my best not to get wordy and to keep myself really like as efficient, and I'll try really hard to keep us right on track so that we can get done early. I think
we won't have a guest speaker.
Right.
What about 6:15?
Yeah.
Tina, will you send all of the commissioners an invite for a potluck at 6:15 in room 300A?
Do we do our Lisa Middig, we love you to death thing after our meeting? I mean, part of me wants maybe that to be public also, just like that one round of like, here's my gratitude to you. I don't know. Or is that just after?
Self-public acknowledgement is in order. I think it's great. She's done a tremendous amount of heavy lifting over the years, so I'm in support of that at the meeting, as long as it has room for it in the agenda time.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree too. Put it on the record, public acknowledgement, but we can also give her some love, at the potluck.
We'll give her gift at the potluck.
One question: how should I label this invite? Because I really don't want to, put too much. Yeah. So how should I label this?
I just Mac potluck.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's not Matt Puglet potluck.
And maybe you should even put something in it about this, that this is not official business or a public meeting. This is just eating food.
Okay.
Something like that. So it's clear there's no business will be discussed. Put that in the invite.
Oh, sure.
So are we signing up for food and stuff? I didn't know there was a potluck. I guess I missed this. I know Crystal sent out a kind of a survey, but I didn't know this was all happening. So are we?
That's part of the email that we're trying to figure out.
Okay.
Pending. It's going to be in there.
Okay.
All right. Is there any, Lucy, I think that is a totally fair question. I think that's why we kind of feel an urgent need to get this invite out, because a lot of people probably don't really know.
Okay.
So.
Yep. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Lieutenant Sunny is a Culture Club collaborative veteran, just so everybody knows, who is now a recording artist and dancer and just an amazing young person that has been around for several years. And I'm really excited that Crystal was able to connect, because they have a long history, and Lieutenant Sunny's just got a really great big network of young artists in the city, which is something we always want to connect to. So way to go, Access. I'm so excited to see her. Okay, any other questions for Access? Okay. And then for Executive Committee, we're just I mean, I think there's some thinking that needs to happen in January for our retreat for Q1. And so I'll try to get ahead of that as much as I can, but likely it's gonna you're gonna get some emails after the holiday to just give me some feedback, and we'll spend some time on that in our next exec agenda or exec meeting, if that's okay with everybody.
Yep, fine. Yep.
Okay, great. And did we, sorry, I'm having another, like I said, it's been a long day. Did we formally seat Jack on the Public Arts Advisory Council? He's already voted, he's done. Okay, so he's tended to. All right, awesome. Great. And then did we need to re-up our exec positions before year's end, or does that not have to happen right now? Sorry, mute.
Oh, sorry, your exec positions?
Yeah, we already managed that bit of business.
I'm sorry, you're muffled a little bit.
So I'm just trying to remember if we formally are, like, if I'm chair for 2022 and we've got the secretary position and there's some openings that people haven't opted in to for exec, is there any?
So you're not required to do that in December.
Okay.
You have done it for the last several years in December. You could do it in January if you wanted to.
I'm fine with do that in January, just so we can have more time. Okay with everybody? Mandy, I see your hands up.
No, that's me. That's Lucy.
Oh, yeah, that's not my hand.
I'm sorry, Lucy.
That's my hand. Am I on the Public Art Advisory Council as well, or just Jack?
No,
I can't remember.
You are as well.
Oh, okay.
Although, Joan, I don't think you guys actually took action on that. I think you sent me an email. I think that actually you should take action on.
Okay.
As well as moving Mari to the artist position.
Okay. So may I have a motion to approve Lucy Thompson's seat on the Public Art Advisory Council, please?
So moved. Lana.
May I have a second?
Second, Mandy.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
All of those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so moved.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you too. Thanks for being so engaged, Lucy. This is the best. Okay, dream team, 10. Okay, so that's, I think, all the business for us, and everyone's okay with us doing our executive positioning in January, and we'll save that business for our next meeting. Okay, thank you. Okay, that's everything for updates for exec then. Next item is, we already kind of have discussed our meeting, and I feel like we've got a clean path. Oh, Lana, go ahead.
Thanks. I just wanted to make sure we didn't need any action on moving Mari to the artist seat on the art advisory panel. Do we need any official motions there?
Yes. Sorry, Mary just said that. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm not the brightest bulb tonight. May I have a motion to move Mari to the artist seat on the Public Art Advisory Council, please?
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Second, Jeff.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, so moved.
You know, while we're on that, do we need to do something about Crystal since her category changed as well? Remember when I had talked to her, because she's not, I can't remember the name where she was working, but she's not working there.
She was in the arts administrator position, and she's in that position until that's a mayor and council appointment. Okay. So Tina, is Crystal up for re-election?
Yeah, so we'll figure that out when we get to that.
So the nominations committee will take care of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I forgot how that went. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad. I appreciate anyone who wants to pipe in about anything we may have missed. It's helpful. So thanks. Okay, so We have a path for our invite for our potluck. That's good. And we have just our agenda then to look at right now. Yes. Wait. Okay. Our agenda, I'm just going to drop the meat of it in the chat right now, if that's okay. Not all the other like pieces for the roll call and that kind of stuff. Like this is actually the discussion that we are proposing for our next MAC meeting. So item number 1 is applications and interview updates, which is like super efficient brief. Like we've got 3 applications. We have been given an instruction from the clerk that we can do these interviews in January. So again, this is something that we're like going to have to move to the end of the, after the holiday, which I'm sure no one will oppose. And we continue to remain interested in everybody socializing and networking the opportunities for the open seats. That's it. So any feedback about that? Okay. And then Lana, if you would be so generous as to provide the Poet Laureate work group updates, there may be some additional news, by the time we meet, so that'll be great for you to just give a quick summary about that. The next item is just ALT updates. And here's my question. Do we want to strike the ALT updates because it feels like the only reason why I asked that is that there isn't going to be a public art advisory update because that group isn't meeting this month. It sounds like Access isn't meeting this month because they're busy planning December. And I feel like executive and policy have all kind of like got a laser focus on work plan. I don't know. I mean, what's everybody think? This might be a place to like buy us some efficiencies, but again, with time, I also don't want to miss anything. If people feel like a quick update is going to be helpful.
I agree with you, Joan. It seems like we could really streamline that.
We're pretty work plan focused right now, and I think if anybody had something to share, it could, be a new business at the end.
That's good. And I'll just say that too. Like, just reiterate that like there's going to be, if there's something pressing for someone, that there's a place for them to be able to bring it forward if they want. Okay, so I'm going to strike that. So the next item will be adoption of the work plan. That'll be quick because we've talked about it ad nauseum, unless someone has some visionary inspiration between now and then that we aren't aware of, but I think we've got what we need. And then I have the adoption of 2022 meeting dates. It's just a formality that Tina needs us to be able to do. Do we want to move the adoption of those meeting dates up just because there's like this, when you adopt a work plan, it's for nerds like me, it's like, yeah, that's when you want to like break the champagne on the ship, it's like, we did it, like, and then be done. Like, do we want to move that meeting date approval up to be able to feel that way? Okay, it's okay. So why don't I move it move the adoption of those meeting dates just right before we approve the work plan. Then we can have that big fun ending. Okay, so that is a super light agenda. That's it. Just 4 items. Mary, did you want to add anything? Do you need to update anybody, or Gogun, do you feel like you need to provide any updates for anybody at our last meeting? I just want to we are interested in this being kind of a quick meeting so we can have time to be together, but I also just want to honor that there's still much work happening and we don't always get together, so.
No, I just keep thinking that there needs to be something special with the adoption of this work plan, because this is like the best work plan in the 20 years I've been at the city that the Arts Commission has ever had. It's so thorough, it's so thoughtful, it's you guys have spent a lot of time on it. I think it's doable too. I mean, I just feel like there should be like a dance at the end or something. I wish I could think of something, right? Because it's.
Is that an ask? Like, are you kind of like, do you want us to think of?
I don't. I wish I could think of something, but I just can't. I can't. But I feel like, yeah.
Do we get like Cookie Cart to make like 2022 work plan cookies?
I don't.
I mean, I feel you totally. I'm giddy as hell about it. I can't even believe it either. But so okay. If anybody has a creative idea about how to add a little extra, like this commission delivered on this work plan, I agree with you. And maybe I take that on as chair to like kind of.
Yeah, or
You
know,
can
maybe
bring
something
personalized for cookies for your potluck item.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know, Mandy. I heard dance, and so I kind of think, maybe you should just bust something out. Like, give us a.
I already offered to
new
do
dance that
improv
really
games for us.
sets us on the
We
right
could all
track.
do an improv game together and have fun.
Gosh, all the images I just saw in my mind were really SNL kind, like a bad at like Second City Television kind of like. But I'll do it. I'll do whatever anybody wants me to do because I'm super proud as well.
Or maybe it's just as simple as maybe there needs to be a year-end Facebook post about the Arts Commission's accomplishments this year or something. I mean, I don't think you should, in the past you've done some things like newsletters to say this is what we did, and I don't want to add more work to your plate, but I think between your advocacy for the new department and your work plan and the Poet Laureate thing, you have really some things to celebrate, and we should just find a way to do that.
I'm down.
Maybe we just toast at the potluck. I don't know.
I'm down with writing something for social media if you don't mind, Mary, like vetting it. Like I think that'd be cool. And is that what you're thinking, kind of like? Or
Yeah.
Maybe even I don't know, Golgoon, if you'd be interested in considering it for the newsletter too. If we put together a little copy, this group
Sure, if you wanna pass it along, we're planning on sending out the end of year newsletter in December, next week, at the end of next week. That's the plan. So if there's any items you want to put in there, and we can link to your social media, your Facebook page or whatever, that would be fine.
Well, thank you. Okay. Everyone okay with me drafting something brief? Okay. We wanted to do that anyway, so I appreciate the nudge. And I agree with you. It's kind of, amidst all of the hardships, it's been a spectacular and prolific year for the commission. In the 4 years that I've been
We were
around.
also thinking,
What, Jeff? Sorry.
we were also thinking about trying to do something in the potluck where we do talk about a little bit of the accomplishments. So I don't know if is that too businessy for the potluck?
No, I mean, we're celebrating us, like, and part of us is that we got a bunch of work done this year and we all really dug in.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking, but I don't want to break any rules. So okay. All right, we'll just do something. So.
I support that. People are into it if they want to like name something you're super proud of us for, and we can all like raise our glass, kind of thing. I mean, I think that's cool.
Okay, cool.
Thank you. Okay. All right. So action takeaway there is just a brief year in review. I might call on one of you to just take a look at it for me and make sure I, if I have any edits or anything, but we'll do that efficiently. Okay. So are we feeling good about the agenda then for the December meeting? And I'll show you what that looks like now with these edits. Sorry, the numbers are wrong.
And I'm on my phone, not my computer.
Okay, so it's just applications.
Do we have something?
Updates, Poet Laureate updates, adoption of the MAC meeting dates, and then adoption of the work plan. That's it.
What about Lisa? Acknowledgement of Lisa.
Oh, thank goodness, yes. Where should that go? Should that go right before we adopt the work plan? Should be near the end, right? Okay. acknowledge Commissioner Mittig service. So adopt 2022 meetings, acknowledge Commissioner Mittig service, adopt 2022 work plan. Sound okay? Okay. All right, so I think we're okay with this as an agenda unless anybody, last call. I said, oh, go ahead, Lana.
Thanks. Just in acknowledging, Lisa, it just made me think that I personally need a little bit more clarity on the part of the transition for next year on a city staffing level. If I'm understanding it correctly, it's likely that Tina may not be rolling over with the Arts Commission, and I don't know the timeline of that or what that looks like at all, and in this point. And it just made me really nervous that might be like, if Tina's rolling over at the end of the year, that there's a bigger celebration too that needs to happen. I know, Tina, you're on the call, so spoiler alerts there, but I just need to know more about what's happening with that, if anyone can provide an update.
I've been told by the CPED director that we are not moving for a while. That
thank you.
The focus is on identifying a director, and that CPED staff are currently in CPED in the 2022 budget. I mean, that will probably move sometime in 2022, but it's likely it's not going to happen in the first quarter for sure.
Thank you for that update, Jerry. Appreciate that.
Great, Eagle Eye, Lana. Thank you for just thinking of everything. I wouldn't have thought of that, and I think that's really important. But that said, I mean, it just brings to question, like, yes, we're going to recognize Lisa for sure. 9 years of service is a big, huge chunk of time, and she's done a lot in those 9 years. But, like, recognizing everyone that supports this work, I guess maybe that's the dance and the cheersing and things, but just to recognize staff and recognize, leadership on the commission too, like the positions and the people who are on multiple committees. Like, I mean, I don't want any, I appreciate everybody's efforts and equally, but at the same time, there's been some all-star action. So maybe we can think about how we kind of, in a way that doesn't feel like favoritism or anything, you know what I mean? Like, just say, like, some people have really lifted a lot, right? I mean, I'm looking at you, Lana, and thinking, wow, you've done some really incredible work this year. And I'm looking at Lucy saying you're like on every single committee practically. And Mari has like done so much for positioning us to like have really take cultural sensitivity and very seriously and get more process around that. I mean, these will be good meditations when I write this year in review. Okay. Go ahead, Lucy.
I mean, you could find something to say about each commissioner and what they have done in the year. And, I haven't been on all year, so I don't know everybody's story, but there's probably some important contribution everyone has made. I don't know, that.
I'm thinking Jeff reaching out to Black Table Arts and getting all the, there's like, it seems like everyone's really dug their heels in. And yeah, I think that's a good idea. What if we like went around and let everybody just pick somebody to say something? Okay, I know I'm overthinking this already.
Yeah, I don't know enough. Well, for some of us new folks, I don't know. I mean, I know some, but I don't know.
Would it be weird for me to rattle that off about everybody? Like some of the things that I've seen that have been just tremendous, and I can name something for everyone for sure. But
I don't think it's weird myself.
And then maybe like end with Lisa, as kind of like the swan song right before the work plan. I think that sounds really nice.
Cool. I will take the challenge if you guys think that would be nice. I mean, I can definitely meditate on all the ways that people have gone above and beyond this year, and really everybody has, which is why we're seeing such a great work plan, right? Which is why we accomplished as much as we have. So
you could do it at potluck too. If you didn't, are you thinking it would be part of the meeting or part of the potluck? Either?
I mean, I don't know, I'm hearing Lana's idea of like thanking each commissioner and maybe shining a light on one highlight of something that they did this year that was tremendous. And then
as part of the meeting, yeah, fine.
Jeff, Mandy, thoughts?
Am I off mute? Hello? Am I off mute? Okay. Yeah, no, I like that idea. And I think I'll try to come up with something, and I'll shoot it over to you too, Joan, that we're thinking about in terms of, I was thinking about in terms of for the potluck, so we can kind of combine. But I think you thanking everyone with a acknowledgement, I think is appropriate in the meeting.
Awesome. Okay. I appreciate that. Mandy, do you have any? Thanks, Jeff. And thank you for that additional, like, thinking about how we carry it forward in the potluck and what might be fun to do. Mandy, do you have any feelings about that customized acknowledgement for each commissioner?
I think that's adorable and awesome. It's not needed because we all signed up for this, right? But that's the worker bee in me, like, we just do it. So, and apologies for my delay. My dog was barking, so I just had to run and shush her so I can unmute. It's life.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm adding just acknowledge commissioners, item number 7, and then commission limited service. And so I'll just put them as separate items, but then we'll focus on. Lisa deserves her own. I think I'll even say that. Okay. So, all right, cool. We just have a few minutes left to just make sure that our work plan is buttoned up tight and we all feel good about it, on the same page. Is it okay to transition to that and just get that done, and then I think we can call it a night? All right. Okay, so nothing changed for exec, with the exception of the addition of the justice to the DEI priority: diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice. So it's just the same. I dropped it in the chat. We don't call out the specific acronym of the street. Is that something that we need to do, or do you think it's okay to just say one of the 3 key priorities is diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice? I mean, that's where we landed as a general commission when we discussed this last month. I'm okay with it. I just want to make sure, if you feel you need that level of specificity, I'm okay to also make that change.
I think it's fine like it is.
Right. Active engagement, just Mandy and Jeff, you know, I didn't receive any edits from anybody on your team. So what you submitted last month and what we discussed remains the same. And is that your understanding as well? Okay, I'm seeing your head nod. Okay. And that's fine with me. So that's in the chat too. All right. And then policy and advocacy had a couple of small changes. And I will tell you them. Item number 2, strengthen communications with council members, city staff, and Department of Arts and Cultural Affairs staff. Track MAC outreach, we added biannually. And seek accountability as we grow opportunities to be used as a proactive resource for policies and projects, which means that we will support the canvassing of our elected twice a year and key staff, which I think has always been our goal. And I think we've been able to do this in times of need. We've kind of come together and got that done, but I think trying to operationalize this into, like, this is a biannual thing we do. So I like that. That's the change there. And then the last change, go ahead, Lucy.
Just a question, is biannually, I thought semi-annually was twice a year. Is biannually every 2 years? I don't know. Anybody know? But you mean twice a year, right?
Oh, please, like, can someone sleuth that quickly?
I don't know.
Yeah, biennial is once every other year. So, Venice biennial, think of those. So it
Right,
means every other year.
right.
Semi-annually, we have made this edit. Thank you very much, team. Okay. The last item that's edited, or that was actually added, it wasn't in our work plan, and we talked as a group and added item number 5, which is research City of Minneapolis racial equity impact analysis, REIA, R-E-I-A, process guide to promote understanding and suggest its use across the commission. That was added. So this is something the policy group is picking up. And we haven't set more specific goals because I think we have a pretty ambitious plan as it is. And so it's just to try to just do some of the reading and some of the research and provide some high-level summary about how we could maybe put some of that plan into action within our ALTs. So any feedback about that addition? Okay. All right, moving on to Public Art Advisory Committee, and we got 5 minutes left. Yeah, I think we're gonna make it. All right. So the updates here. So Marley Mansfield came in the clutch here yesterday and proposed some edits and had some ideas as well that we sort of worked through together, she and I. And I hope that's okay. So item number 5 says prioritizing DEIJ and all PAAC efforts. We're getting real acronymy now, which is fine. She wanted to add including cultural competency training and educational guest speakers. So we've talked about bias training for the Public Art Advisory Council before, and it didn't manifest, and there was some budget for it, and so she wants that to happen. And I think that's great because it sounds as if she's willing to do some lifting to help with that, which is great. So any feedback about that? I saw Mary nod her head. That was an important nod. Okay. All right, as long as you're feeling good. I think clearly that would be a gift to that group, I think, to be able to do that with them and to provide them with that training, as well as possibly bringing in some speakers. That Public Art Advisory Council tends to have pretty dense working agendas, like they're reviewing proposals and, presentations from artists and things like that. So adding some items might be a little tough, but I think if we got that commitment here at the top of the year, we'll find a way to make it happen. And then the second item, she's thinking about so Mari shared with me that she was very inspired by the public art event that we all attended last week, and that the artist talk, it inspired her, and she got some ideas from it. And she thought how cool to just increase some programmatic support for the public artists that work with the city. Like, could there be possibly like a public artist art market pop-up kind of a thing? Or could there be, and I said I don't know, I think those are some...
There's no budget.
Right, I know. So, I worked with her on this, knowing that there were limitations. Okay, so I wanted, because you don't want to kill somebody's inspiring ideas to kind of kick in more and maybe do a little more for the artists we work with. So what we distilled in our conversation was that item number 6 we would add. So what exists already is participate in the development of the new Department of Art and Cultural Affairs. And in here we added with a focus on increased program support for public artists and information sharing. So we don't know what that looks like, but just that the Public Art Advisory Council, the MAC commissioners who serve in that capacity, are going to be looking at how to increase support for the public artists that come through the projects at the city level. And I think welcoming fresh ideas about that, I know it makes everybody's head kind of pop when they think you want us to do more, we already do. I mean, we saw there was 15 artists and a bazillion projects that all happened. But if commissioners are willing to do some lifts, we've seen the Access team and what they've been able to do by bringing some more support and information sharing amongst the commission for artists in the community. If Mari is feeling inspired and she thinks that she can coalition build around this, I would love to encourage her.
Joan, I would caution you to be adding programming, right? It's not, you just added a poet laureate project, right, without, and we just saw how that worked with the budget. And so without budget and without additional staff, you know, I was in a meeting last week when you were talking about how we don't have enough capacity. I don't think we can add programming, and I don't think it's the role of the Arts Commission to generate programs. So I can't support that. I mean, I think it's a really great intention, but as the person who supervises the public art team, which is already overwhelmed and is still spending 2020 money, we can't, because we haven't had the capacity to implement projects, I can't add programming.
How would you feel if we edited the word program and it looked like this? Hold on, instead. Or like this. I mean, I feel like I hate speaking for her, but I feel like what she's thinking is that like these public artists.
I feel like one person cannot develop a goal for a whole new goal for the program. I don't think that's the process for developing goals for the program. Or so I would just say, yeah. And so, because there's a whole bunch of things to consider, like for example, the public art budget is 10 times bigger than the budget for the rest of the department, right, currently. Mm-hmm. And the public art program has 2 full-time staff and 4 contracted project managers. So I think, for example, for the Arts Commission, I think it's a policy issue about whether or not that's the program that the commission wants to build and add on to, and have the department add capacity to. And so I don't think we're in a place tonight where we can take this on. This is how the commission adds to programming and it adds to goals for the city's programs and the new department. That's a policy issue, and I just don't think, we can. I don't think you should do that tonight.
Well, let me ask you this. How do you see the commissioners who serve on the Public Art Council? How do you see their support of public artists with the Department of Art and Cultural Affairs? Do you think that that's something that, when we think about this particular group and their role in the development of the department, should their focus be on public artists?
I think that's a question, right? What is the focus of the new department? Where does the new department put its resources? Where does the new department put its energy? Those are questions. And whether or not that, I love the idea of supporting emerging artists and doing more activities for artists and having more events like last week, but I don't think we can determine that tonight. I think that's a policy and a new department thing, and I think that there should be a broader discussion about that. And I don't think the process is, although I have a tremendous amount of respect for Mari, I don't think the process is the commissioner comes up with an idea and it gets added to the slate of priorities. You know what I mean?
I hear what you're saying. I hear all of what you're saying.
And so, I feel like, yeah, so I'm done.
Okay, and we're
There's
over.
Other people with their hands up.
Don't mind staying just a couple more minutes. I see Lana's hand up first and then Jeff.
Thanks. I just want to say that my gut feeling is in agreement with Mary. Even though I really appreciate, Mari's enthusiasm, I think that the work plan you've outlined actually has a lot of really clearly identified areas that she could throw her hat in the ring on. I can't speak for her either, but I'm looking at number 4, to assist with and enroll MAC members to participate in public art review and selection panels for city art projects. That already ties into a lot of initiatives that are currently slated. It just enhances the opportunities for, maybe volunteer participation or selection panel participation, and maybe that would be a really good fit. Just
I just mentioned to her too that her feedback sounded like she might have an interest in participating in the access group, because that's where a lot of that like connectivity with artists and the commission and staff happens. And so I did mention that as like that's might be where that lives. But go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, no, that was one thought that I had. The second thought I had was we did hear when Rojo was here about, you know, getting a better understanding of how to work on, work with the public's arts, and just kind of, and I'm sure there are ways that are already there, but could that be part of what Mari's trying to get at as a way to kind of, hey, here's the process, and and the commission could help with the public arts. So I don't know if that's in bounds or out of bounds, but I do remember that coming up in one of our getting feedback from from the community. So
yeah, I also think that getting back to that, we heard that from Rojo, and you guys are doing the focus group, right? And so I don't want to develop a new direction also before we hear what the artists tell the focus group, right?
Got it.
And the focus group, I think, again, can lead to thinking about the new department and increased work in public art, because you will have kind of the credibility behind you that you got this info from the artists, right? So maybe that's something she could also work on.
So I will let her know that we considered this and we had a robust conversation about it, and that adding the program piece and the information sharing onto item number 6 just didn't feel like the right fit, but that we think her ideas could be a really great fit for Access if she feels like that's something she might be interested in additionally, or even like maybe she doesn't join the Access group but take some time to just share her thoughts with the Access group and get some feedback about it, and maybe the Access group will say, hey, like maybe some of our guest speakers will be public artists. I mean, it already has been Angela 2 Stars and stuff like that, but like maybe there's just a way for that to complement. Go, Glenn, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I wanted to offer a place at least where in the future Mari can, assuming I understand what it is she is looking for, a place where she could put her energy in the future. So part of the work of the new department will be on economic assistance for artists. So meaning connecting them to opportunities, connecting them to technical assistance, training, that type of thing. And if that is what Mari is seeking, again, these are all assumptions on my part, then there is work that is currently unfunded and unstaffed that the new department has put on. I mean, as Mary has pointed out, where I sit, it isn't really the role of arts commissioners to make programming, although the Poet Laureate is one exception to that. It is the role of the Arts Commission to, as a community advisory group, to comment on what there currently exists and say, tuck this in, do more of that, and give advice, but also to advocate for what it wants to see in the future. And if that's one of the things that Mari wants to see, which is more assistance to opportunities and resources and ways to earn a living, then that's the economic side of what this new department is supposed to be doing. Now, of course, it's severely underfunded and there's no staff, but that's sort of something the Arts Commission in the future might be able to get its head around and understand, because at least I understand Mari describing and what the artists are describing is something common. The artists in the Creative Response Fund, all of them have challenges with dealing with parts of their practice and business. And Amina, who manages that, who's a contractor who manages that for me, is saying we need technical assistance while we're supporting them. We need to support them with information and assistance. So that's stuff that I can't suddenly pull out and do because I don't have the resources to do it. But presumably a future department should do it. because it's ways to build capacity for artists. So I know this is all conceptual, but I would steer her towards the new department's role, the new department's work plan, because it has a list of buckets of work that it's supposed to be focused on. And that's the way that the Arts Commission can connect to either approving or not approving, or advocating or not advocating for a budget to be there and staff to be there to do the work. Because at the end of the day, without programming money and staff, the work can't get done.
Okay. Thank you, Coco, and I appreciate that feedback. And I mean, these are all really good ways of thinking about how can the commission be a source of some limited capacity for existing work, right? Like that, and maybe there are some ideas in there, but go ahead, Mary, and then I'm gonna.
I just think it begs the question about what is the commission's own process for deciding what its priorities are for the new department, right? And
For
so
sure.
People are going to come up with lots of ideas about what the new department's going to do. And maybe this is a policy committee thing or something like that, but how is the commission going to vet its own ideas and priorities and decide what to really advocate for? Because you don't want to advocate for everything, right? And I'm not advocating against this. I'm just saying, if you look at that list of duties that is in the ordinance, you know, there's like 9 duties of the new department. Which of those do you care the most about? Which do you want to advance? And what within those duties do you want to advance? That's a big conversation that you need to have.
This is the beginnings of our retreat outline. Yeah. So that's great, and that's helpful. Any other feedback? And
I just want to share quickly that I do think that the priorities have been something that exec has been reviewing. I think that was one of Joan's initial questions too, about outlining which members we see the most area for focus and potential collaboration for MAC. So I think continuing that conversation is the right path.
Thank you. Thanks for that, Cody. Okay, thanks you guys. Thanks for staying over. You know, I try very hard for us to get done on time, but I think this is just a big moment, and your year-long plan is a big deal, and I'm glad that we take it as seriously. So thanks again for the extra time and thought. And I will, you know, follow up with her and let her know. Just kind of provide some of the feedback that was here, if that's okay with everybody. Other than that, I think we can go ahead and adjourn and enjoy the rest of our evening. And great job, everybody. I appreciate everybody being all in, and I look forward to writing these affirmations of all the good work that's happened this past year. It's going to be a cool end of year exercise for me. So thanks for tasking me that. I think that's going to be fun. Anything else anybody needs? All right. See you soon.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.